When you're a child, there's a difference between fearing the dark and fearing something that is in it.
Most people grow out of those fears.
But what happens when the thing you saw never leaves you?
Tonight's story comes from a paranormal investigator who spent years exploring haunted locations.
But the most terrifying thing he's ever experienced happened in his own childhood bedroom.
This is a ghost story.
Hi, I'm Kathryn.
I'm Alison.
And I'm producer Andrew.
And this is a ghost story. We hope you're all doing well after last week's episode, because judging by the messages we received, quite a few of you were thoroughly creeped out.
Yeah, we've had loads of comments and messages from people saying they listened with headphones on in bed, which is always a terrible idea with this podcast.
Particularly when Alison decides to whisper directly into the microphone every 5 minutes.
That's because I care about atmosphere, Kathryn.
You care about traumatising people.
Yes.
Tonight's story is a bit different because it comes from somebody who actively investigates the paranormal.
Adam runs Paranormal Explorer TV and spends his time visiting reportedly haunted locations and trying to find the answers behind paranormal claims.
But despite all of the places he's explored, the one thing he still can't explain happened when he was just a child.
And honestly, this one really unnerved me. Brace yourselves.
This is a ghost story.
Adam was around 7 or 8 years old when this happened. At the time, he lived with his mum, his sister, and their enormous dog, a Bernese mountain dog crossed with a Rottweiler.
The layout of the house is important here. When you came out of the living room, the stairs immediately turned upwards to a small square landing, then curved round again toward the bedrooms. Adam's room sat right at the top of the stairs, first door on the left.
A few days before the incident, the light bulb in his bedroom had blown. Not just blown either. Apparently it damaged the wiring and the light fitting, leaving the entire room without light for weeks.
One evening, Adam headed upstairs to play with his toy cars. He opened the bedroom door, using the hallway light to illuminate the room slightly, then tipped all the toy cars out onto the floor.
Adam says he had a habit as a child. Before playing with the cars, he'd line them up from biggest to smallest, every single time.
So, there he was, sat in near darkness, sorting his beloved toy cars into size order. And then, he heard it.
Scratching. Coming from behind him.
At first, he ignored it. The family had cats, so he assumed one of them had wandered into the room. But then, the noise changed.
It sounded like something dropping from the wall. Something moving above him.
Adam turned around, looked up, and froze.
Staring back at him, at the point where the wall met the ceiling, were 2 glowing red eyes.
Not small eyes either. Adam says whatever this thing was stretched almost the entire length of the wall.
And then it started moving.
He watched this dark figure slowly emerge from the ceiling itself. At that exact same moment, the bedroom door behind him began to close.
Adam panicked and grabbed the handle, trying to stop the door shutting. And that's when it happened.
The figure suddenly launched itself towards him, screaming.
Adam screamed back, pulled open the door and bolted down the stairs.
At the bottom of the stairs stood his mum and the dog. Adam collapsed onto the steps in complete panic. But then something strange happened.
The dog suddenly locked its eyes onto the top of the stairs, completely focused on Adam's bedroom door, and then he exploded into full attack mode.
The enormous dog charged up the stairs, barking and snarling, and dived directly into the bedroom, focusing exactly where Adam had seen the glowing eyes.
Adam jokes now that despite the dog's size, the only thing truly in danger around him was the margarine in the fridge. But at that moment, the dog genuinely appeared to be reacting to something inside the room.
Adam still lives in that same house today, and despite years investigating the paranormal, he says he's never experienced anything like that ever again.
This is a ghost story.
Yeesh. Imagine seeing that as a child. Those two red eyes staring back at you. Ugh. Kids do have active imaginations, though.
Yeah, but the thing that gets me about this story is the dog reacting. Always trust your animals, people.
Too right. You can explain a child imagining something, but the dog suddenly charging upstairs? That changes it slightly.
True, especially if the dog focused on the exact location Adam described as he said in his story.
Also, though, why red eyes? It's such a common detail in a lot of paranormal encounters, across centuries of stories and folklore.
And the whole coming out of the ceiling thing is just pure nightmare fuel.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of nightmare fuel over these past few weeks, aren't
we?
I do also wonder whether the broken lighting and darkness made the room feel more intense psychologically, because when you're a child, darkness massively alters your perception.
True. But Adam insists this wasn't his imagination. He says he can still remember it vividly all these years later.
And that's the thing with experiences like this. People often say, oh, it was just a dream, or you imagined it. But when someone remembers a moment this clearly decades later, it obviously affected them deeply.
Yeah, because, most of us barely remember what we had for dinner 3 nights ago. But people do remember fear, especially childhood fear.
And children are incredibly honest with fear as well. If a child is terrified, you usually know they're genuinely terrified.
Exactly. Children don't tend to perform fear in the same way adults do.
Also, the detail about the stretching across the ceiling is horrible. Such a specific visual.
And not even humanoid either, and that's what creeps me out most. Most ghost stories involve figures standing in corners or doorways. This sounded almost animalistic.
Or even spider-like. A dirty great spider screaming in your face. Nota.
Thanks, Alison. Thanks for that image just before bedtime. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But genuinely though, if you imagine being 7 years old in a dark room with something crawling across the ceiling towards you, yeah, no thank you.
I also think the broken light bulb adds an eerie atmosphere to the whole thing, because suddenly his safe space, his bedroom, becomes somewhere unfamiliar.
And darkness does change everything psychologically. Your brain will start filling in the gaps.
This is true. But even knowing that, I still can't fully explain the dog reacting. That's the one detail that stops me completely dismissing it.
Have either of you had an animal react strangely around something?
Not paranormal necessarily, but animals absolutely sense things that we don't. Dogs hear frequencies that we can't hear. Cats stare at strange things that we can't see, all the time.
Our cat used to randomly stare at corners of rooms for no reason, and it used to absolutely make me think, because what are you looking at, you weirdo?
Yeah, cats are bad for that, aren't they? Cats will stare directly behind you and suddenly you're questioning every life decision you've ever made until you slowly turn around and realise the little darling isn't looking at anything.
There's also something really unsettling about staircases in all paranormal stories.
Yes. Reminds me of the bedtime story you used to tell me about the creepy doll climbing up the stairs, one spooky step at a time.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to hear it again? You ready?
No, thank you.
Are you sure? Mm-hmm. Honestly, though, think about it. So many ghost stories involve staircases. Shadow figures at the top of the stairs. people hearing footsteps and things watching from landings. We've experienced things in our own childhood home. Sorry, Mum. Where out the corner of your eye, we think we've seen someone go up the stairs when we've been sat in the living room. And our dad also used to think he'd seen things at the top of the stairs too.
There's probably something psychological in that. You can't fully see what's above you on a staircase, and maybe your brain fills in the unknown sometimes.
But it still doesn't explain the glowing red eyes, does it though?
No, it does not, Alison. Yes, you are right there, and that is one of the elements of this case, which is very interesting. So naturally, I investigated this a little further. Now, first of all, there are a lot of reported paranormal encounters involving glowing red eyes. Everything from shadow people to demonic folklore to cryptid sightings. But there's also a much more rational explanation that psychologists often point toward. Something called hypnopompic or hypnagogic hallucinations. These are vivid visual experiences that can happen in low light conditions, especially in children whose imaginations are already heightened.
But Adam wasn't asleep.
Exactly. That's what makes that explanation harder to pin down fully. Another interesting detail is the environmental factor. The room had faulty electrics. There are paranormal researchers who genuinely believe high electromagnetic fields, often linked with faulty wiring, can create feelings of dread, paranoia, and even visual hallucinations.
That's not creepy. Not creepy at all. No.
But then we get back to the dog. Animals reacting to supposedly paranormal activity is one of the oldest reoccurring themes in ghost stories. Dogs in particular are often reported as staring, growling, or reacting to things humans can't see. That reminds me of the story of your dog, Red.
Yeah. So when our mum, when she worked at the day centre, sometimes we would walk our dog down to meet her. We would take him into the day centre because the clients absolutely loved to see Red. He was a lovely, gentle greyhound. But there was one day in particular where he was acting really weird. He did not want to be in there for whatever reason. It's like he just wanted to get out. And normally he would just go from person to person, taking all the fuss, and all the love. Oh, he would normally love it. But yeah, there was something off that day. He wanted out. He wanted to get out.
Yeah, that is quite weird because he did used to like going there and used to like getting the attention and the
Yeah,
fuss.
he
And
did.
obviously there were reports of weird things happening there at times. Which that place is now demolished. Only demolished, I think, earlier this year. Now, when dogs do things like this, is that because they're hearing subtle sounds, sensing electrical changes, or is it something more paranormal? Nobody really knows. There's also another theory I found while researching this. Some paranormal researchers believe childhood experiences happen more frequently because children are supposedly more open to paranormal phenomena. Now, obviously, there's no scientific proof of that, but it's a belief that appears repeatedly in paranormal cases worldwide. Some things that I've even heard from people say, like you, Kathryn, used to talk to the lady, didn't you, when you were a little girl?
The lady. Mum would come up the stairs and be like, who are you talking to? And I think I was about, 18 months or something. And I'd be like, the lady. And Mum was like, okay, I can't see any
Nope.
lady in here. Goodbye. Yeah.
Whether that's paranormal or simply a vivid imagination, though, who knows?
Exactly, because scientifically children's brains are still developing. They process fear differently, they interpret shadows differently, and they're much more suggestible to environmental stress.
But Adam didn't grow up in a house obsessed with ghosts or horror, though.
No, and that's the important part here, because some psychologists argue repeated exposure to horror imagery can shape childhood experiences, but from what Adam described, this seemed completely random.
Another thing that stood out to me was the screaming. A lot of paranormal encounters people describe involve silence or paralysis or staring, but this thing screamed directly at him.
Which makes it feel weirdly physical.
Yeah, almost predatory. And interestingly, there are old folklore stories throughout Europe involving entities appearing on ceilings or in upper corners of rooms, particularly during periods of illness, grief, stress, or major emotional events in households.
See, this is where folklore becomes fascinating. I love folklore.
I love lamp.
Because stories separated by hundreds of years in different countries often contain very similar imagery.
red eyes, shadow figures, corners of rooms, watching people sleep.
Exactly. Now, whether there's evidence of something paranormal or simply common human fears appearing in similar ways, that's the big question.
And that's what makes stories like this so interesting, because there's never a clear answer.
You're left somewhere between logic and fear.
Which is basically the entire premise of this podcast. And there's another part to this story as well.
Yes. Adam later said that a man reportedly died in that very room years before they moved in. According to family stories, the man had won the lottery, but after his death there were rumours surrounding money disputes and a possible betrayal within the family. Adam says even today, certain people entering the house seem to change the atmosphere entirely.
Now that is the kind of detail that sticks with you.
It certainly is. Adam is the owner of Paranormal Explorers. He investigates every location where people have faced the paranormal. He goes head to head with the unknown, facing what others fear, to uncover the true answers you want to know. And you can find him on Facebook, Addy Explore, that's ADDY, Alpha Delta Delta Yankee Explore. Instagram, Paranormal Explorer _TV. That's Paranormal Explorer, all one word, _TV for Instagram. And TikTok, you'll find him as Paranormal Explorer.
So I just want to say a massive thank you to Adam. Your story was terrifying.
It really was. That is something that would have moulded you as a child and made you think differently about the world. And wow, thank you ever so much for sharing that with us.
Thanks, Adam. Do check out his work. And thanks to Adam for sharing his story with us.
Yeah, that was an absolutely creepy story. And yeah, that's...
Poor Adam.
I know.
Yeah. And you know what? I have to say, I believe him. I think there's too much with this, that the dog's also involved. The dog, which is a fairly placid dog, has been affected as well. Yeah, there's definitely something there.
But I wonder if this experience has spurred on his passion for the paranormal.
Sent him on that journey.
Yeah, sent him down that scary road.
It's amazing what things can shape you, isn't it?
It does remind me of that X-Files episode, though. I wish I could remember the episode name. But the creature in the forest.
Was it the one with Mulder and Scully in it?
Yeah. With the red eyes.
The episode's called Detour.
Sounds right. That sounds right.
I'm a bit of a geek. Sorry.
Yeah, he is.
This is a ghost story.
Next time on This Is a Ghost Story.
A university student in Scotland spends an ordinary evening with friends back in 2003.
Until a phone call takes him into a dark bedroom alone.
What starts as a normal conversation suddenly turns into something he'll never forget.
A feeling of being watched.
Something appearing out the darkness.
And a question that changes everything.
Because what if someone else had already seen it first?
The Stirling Spectre.
A true story from one of Scotland's oldest towns.
And trust us,
you won't want to listen to this one alone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of This Is a Ghost Story.
Don't forget to follow us on social media. We are absolutely everywhere now. We are now on YouTube. So just search This Is a Ghost Story, all one word, to find us on there.
So we are on Twitter or X at A Ghost Story Pod.
We're on Facebook. This Is a Ghost Story.
And Instagram, This Is a Ghost Story, all one word.
Or you can find us on TikTok at this.is.a.ghost.story.
Please leave us a review wherever you listen to your podcasts.
And remember, if you have a paranormal experience that you would like us to read on the show,
please email us at thisisaghoststory@icloud.com.
We'll see you next time.
This is a ghost story.
Sweet dream.